What's up, YouTube? Just got through watching Daredevil season 3. Man, I thought it was pretty good. So, I'm about to get into this review. Before I do that, like, subscribe, comment below. And can we show some love to that Daredevil intro? Like, man, that intro is epic. Like, every time it comes on, you just feel like, oh, here we go, we into it now. I just love the intro. I love the way it looks. I love the music. It just gets you into the mood of the show and the tone of the show. I love it. It's one of the best intros for a comic book show I've seen, and it's so simple, but it's so good. That and probably Game of Thrones intro. I like Walking Dead intro too, but intros are very important. And so I really love the Daredevil intro. So the story starts with Matt Murdock. He's suffering from injuries from his fight in season 2, and he doesn't want to be Daredevil anymore. So he goes to the church. They're healing him from his injuries, and Wilson Fisk has been let out of jail, and they have him in a penthouse suite in the hotel. He's still under their surveillance, but he's out of jail because he made a deal to give up some crime bosses and things like that. And so that compels Matt Murdock to, become Daredevil again because he wants to get Wilson Fisk back in jail. So that's pretty much the gist of the season plot. And Wilson Fisk wants to capture Daredevil because he thinks Daredevil killed his friend Wesley. So let's talk about the characters. Matt Murdock is awesome as always. The actor that plays him really does the role very well. He plays a blind man very well too. Like, he's so believable that you actually believe this is a blind person. The way he looks off the camera and things like that, he's very convincing. His fight scenes are great. Like, you could tell during his fights. What I always liked about Daredevil was that when he's fighting, he's getting tired as he's fighting, and you could tell in his fight scenes that he's getting tired, and that makes it look way more realistic than most shows, because most shows they fight and they go on 100% all through the scene, but Daredevil, he tires out during the scene as well, and even the people that he's fighting tires out as well too, even though some of them overplay it a little bit. Like, I know one scene when he was in the hospital, and this nurse turned out to be somebody who was trying to kill him. They tried to give him a drug or something, and so the prisoners or whatever started fighting him when he left out of the doctor's office. And some of them were just playing it up that they was tired and just they were just they was overacting a little bit. So that was kind of funny. I like his relationship with his friends, and I like the new suit that he had on. Even though I love the red suit, I kind of wish they would have had the red suit going. But I really like the all black, the all black outfit. I think his relationship with Wilson Fisk, that's Daredevil's Joker. So their dynamic and the way that they interact with each other, I love it. And I love they did something new in this season where they projected their thoughts out. So, like, if he was thinking about Wilson Fisk was standing next to him talking, and I really liked the way they did that. They brought a lot of weight to both characters, and that really had me engaged in the show. Next we have Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. So they finally started calling him Kingpin in this season, which I really liked. Vincent D'Onofrio, he's great as always. Like, to me, he's the GOAT for Marvel villains. Like, I put him over Killmonger, Loki, and Thanos. I put him over all three of them. And I know people be like, oh well, he's in a TV show and they're in movies, so they have more time to flesh out their characters. Well, I just think, regardless, I think if he was even in a movie, he still would be a better villain than those three. Even though they're all great in their own right, but I just feel like Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, I feel like he just defined the character so much. He just took that villain to another level. I really like the white suits that he has on this season to make him look like his comic book character. And I love how calm he is, but he's so dangerous at the same time. Once he snaps, it's like he goes from 0 to 100 and he'll kill you, you know, and I like that about him. Also, I like the way he uses his influence to like scare people. Like, he has so many connections and he blackmailed a lot of people, and he's very scary. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. All he cares about is himself. He doesn't care about your family issues, what you got going on in your life. He'll act like he does, but if you don't fit into his agenda, he would get rid of you like it's nothing and think nothing about it. So I really like his character. He's very dangerous. He's very, very manipulative. And, you know, you can't cross him. It's nothing you can do. You have to do what he says. He's the kingpin, you know. So I really like his character. I think he's the best Marvel villain. Next, we have Agent Poindexter, a.k.a. Bullseye. And I really like his character a lot. He played a psychopath, and it was very convincing. The actor that played him played crazy very well. And I like his power set. I like how he was throwing things. It was funny. Like, every time he was on screen fighting, it was so funny because I was screaming at the screen like, Daredevil, get in close so he can't throw stuff at you. You know, so because that was the only way Daredevil can beat him, was to get in close so he can punch him, because Daredevil's a better fighter than him. So, but if he's far away, he's throwing stuff at Daredevil and it's hard to beat him. And it was so funny with him throwing things. Kind of reminded me when we was back in school. You know, when you was a little kid, y'all used to have paper ball fights. So he was just throwing stuff at Daredevil. I thought it was funny, but it was cool. Next, we have Maggie, who turned out to be, spoiler alert, who turned out to be Daredevil's mom. And I really liked her character a lot. I kind of knew something was up with her when Daredevil first showed up into the church, and she was just like taking care of him a lot. And I was like, well, you know, she's a nun, so she might just be a compassionate person. But I was like, well, she's taking care of him like he's her son. So, you know, that kind of tipped me off. That might be the direction that they go with the character, and I'm glad they went that way. It added a lot to her character. I liked her backstory that they had. They have an episode where she has a backstory, and I felt like it was very believable. I liked her character a lot. She cared a lot about people, and she added a lot to the story. I would have to say Karen is the only character in the show that I really don't like. I kind of feel like her character doesn't really bring anything to Daredevil. I feel like she's just kind of there to have a female character as like a main character. I just feel like she doesn't bring much to the story. I feel like if you replaced her, if you took her out of the show will still be good and it will still be able to get its point across. I just feel like she doesn't really add much to the show. Well, they had one episode where she had a backstory, and the backstory didn't do nothing for me for her character. I was looking all during the season for the payoff of that episode where they had her backstory, and we didn't get a payoff. In my opinion, we didn't. And I felt like they just did that to kind of draw the season out because they're trying to hit that 13 episode mark, which I kind of feel like they need to trim their series down to 10 episodes. I feel like 13 is kind of a little bit too long. But, you know, Karen is the only character that doesn't really work for me. Next, we have Foggy. I love Foggy. Foggy is that ride or die friend that everybody needs to have in their life. I just love the way he acts, how much he cares about Matt. He's willing to do anything for Matt, you know, and he's willing to go through all lengths to make sure his friend is safe, and he cares about everybody around him. He's running for district attorney, but he's conflicted between running from district attorney and trying to help Matt. But yeah, I just love the Foggy character, and I'm glad that he's still around, and I'm glad that he's gonna be in season 4. So then we have a new character, Ray Nadeem. He's an FBI agent, and I thought he was a pretty cool character. I thought he added a lot to the story. He's a very conflicted character because he's a good man, but he's forced to do some bad things because of the situation he's in and because of Wilson Fisk's power that he has over the FBI. And so he ends up doing some things that gets him in a lot of trouble, and he just pretty much digs himself into a hole that gets deeper and deeper, and it ultimately causes his demise. But I like the character a lot. I hated his wife. He had a wife in there, and every time she was on screen, she just made things worse. Like she every time he was on screen, she would be complaining about everything. He's already going through some things. He already going through trouble. He's emotional about something, and here she comes complaining. So I really didn't like her character at all. I really didn't like his wife. But yeah, I thought the fight scenes in this show was awesome. I love the fight between Wilson Fisk and Daredevil, Wilson Fisk and Bullseye against Daredevil. All three of those fights are great. You know, I can't quite put them up on the same level as Daredevil season 1, but I really did like the fights in this season. If I would rank the shows, I would rank Daredevil season 1 first, Daredevil season 3 second, and Daredevil season 2 third. But all three of the seasons were great. I just thought this one went up a notch because of the villain. I think Kingpin as the villain brought this one up a notch. So I thought the season was pretty good. You know, I'm looking forward to season 4 to see where the show goes. If you like my video, like, subscribe, comment below so we can talk about it. And I'll see you all on the next video. All right.